Joining me now, Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett of Texas. She's a member of the House Oversight and Accountability Committee. Congresswoman Crockett, thank you very much for coming to the Saturday show. I was just having a rather spirited conversation with Charlie Sykes, who disagrees with me. I don't know if you had a chance to hear my opening statement, basically telling Democrats to buck up and stand behind the president, because Republicans clearly are standing behind their twice impeached convicted felon of a nominee. What say you?
Now, I stand with you, Jonathan, and I stand with the President of the United States. I've been thinking about this. Obviously, Republicans will stand with, it seems like, the devil, if it means that they are going to get their disastrous policies in place. That's all they care about. And I've been trying to stress to people that this election should be about them as individuals, and they should be voting not for the exact person, but the team. They need to be looking at who can control the House, who can control the Senate, as well as the White House, and what types of policies is that team going to push forward. And finally, I've ultimately decided that this is kind of like cough syrup. Nobody really likes the taste of cough syrup, but at the end of the day, they take cough syrup because cough syrup is what they need to heal their bodies. Right now, this country needs to be healed, and they will not find healing if they decide to deal with Donald Trump, but they will find healing if they decide that they want to give this administration another 4 years, so that hopefully we may have an opportunity to get a better Supreme Court. We may have an opportunity, so long as we get the House, to go ahead and get another child tax credit passed, to make sure that there is going to be a housing stipend passed so that people can go ahead and move into new homes and things like that.
Congresswoman, the New York Times has called on the president to bow out of the race. Just this afternoon, before we came on the air, the Atlanta Journal-Constitution called on the president to bow out of the race. What are you hearing from fellow members of Congress about whether the president should drop out? Is there even the hint of a groundswell that he should leave the race?
I don't think there is. And you know what is so frustrating for me, Jonathan, you know better than almost anyone that most people came to know me when I fled the state of Texas over voting rights. What we have to think about, what people are asking us to do, is subvert the will of the people. The people have spoken, and this is our Democratic nominee. To do anything else at this point in time would basically say, you know what, forget what those people did because of what some pundits decided, because of what the New York Times thought we should do. Listen, that's not what we do in a democracy. We don't just replace somebody because there is this feeling that there was a 90-minute situation that they felt like wasn't his best day. And if I'm real, it wasn't his best day. But here's the deal. This man has given us so many amazing and incredible days of his life for almost 50 years. And the fact that we want to delete that because of a 90-minute performance in which his opponent did not perform well. He just kept talking the whole time, but he didn't answer half the questions, and the other half of the questions he did answer, he was lying about. But that's not what we're talking about. Instead, people want to talk about our president, who has performed in an extraordinary way. History will look back and talk about the record of Joe Biden, and is going to be one of positivity.
Hey there, MSNBC fans. I'm Luke Russert, and be sure to join me, Rachel Maddow, Jen Psaki, Lawrence O'Donnell, Steve Kornacki, Joy Reid, and many more September 7th in Brooklyn, MSNBC Live Democracy 2024. Click on the link for ticket information. We will see you there.